As you know, this morning we announced my decision to begin a search for the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the announcement followed a very warm and positive discussion I had with Doug this morning, and also obviously last week and over the last year. As difficult as the occasion was for both Doug and myself, I mean, it served a reminder of Doug's quality as a head coach and a person. There's no doubt in my mind that this is the time to make a change in the best interests of the football team, community, and especially our fans.
Welcome into Jags A.M. It's official the offseason. I'm Kainani Stevens, John Oger-Brien with me, Brian Sexton with me today as well. And we've been talking about changes. We knew they were going to come. We got one change right out of the gate on Monday. We'll start out with our big thing. There are only two of them today. One goes. That's Doug Pederson, the head coach, who's been fired, let go. Shad explained a little bit of his reasoning.
Last year we started off 8-3 and then went 1-5, okay, and didn't make the playoff. It was a winning season. But didn't make the playoffs. And after that, I started really right in Nashville, sat down with Doug, okay, what are we going to do? And he identified, on the defensive side, we needed to change the staff and so on. And as the season, progressed, obviously we weren't doing well. We were close, like yesterday, but not close enough to win the game. And then as I spoke to Doug even last week for a good length of time, I just came to the conclusion what we were doing was not working, and a change in direction was needed.
Brian, I don't think there's a huge surprise to this. Obviously, it's a results-oriented business. Team did not win. Doug Pederson out as head coach. What are your thoughts?
Well, this was the simple one. We heard all season long that they have to learn, we have to teach them how to win these close games. And there were enough examples. There were 13 one-score games, and the Jaguars went 3-10. And at some point, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Doug kept talking about what they needed the players to do and how they were attacking things in the meeting room and on the practice field, and it didn't work. They didn't learn how to win close games. And we all witnessed, we lived that all season long. And so I think that made the owner's choice relatively simple. They had an opportunity, they knew what the problems were, and they couldn't solve it. He didn't have confidence, John, that they would go into 2025 and be able to change that, to solve it. He obviously thought something much more dramatic needed to be done, and so he did it yesterday.
Yeah, look, people who know me know I'm not as much blame coach as most who are around the league. But I think Doug Pederson's a good coach. I think if he went and coached somewhere else, he's won a Super Bowl. So he can do this. But at some point when you're 4-13, what I wondered moving forward was so much of being head coach is about belief. Do the players believe in this anymore? I think after 1-5 last year at the end, 4-13 this year, hard to believe in that. I also think it was going to be hard to make a defensive coordinator change after 1 year, and I don't think he was going to change Press Taylor. So if you hadn't changed Doug, I don't know what changes. Good coach, I think, deserves to be remembered fondly by the Jaguars for what happened. At some point, a change has to be made, and you can't change all the players.
Cannot change all the players. We did expect, though, our second big thing, which is one stays. Some of the fans outside of the organization talks about GM Trent Baalke maybe being let go as well. He was asked whether he was surprised he wasn't a part of that layoff.
I don't know if surprised is the right word. That's not my decision. That's the decision of ownership, and I certainly respect the decision that's been made, and don't take the job lightly. The real fact, the bottom line is we weren't productive on the field. We didn't win enough games, and I don't shy away from that. I'm just as responsible as anybody else, and all we can do now is roll up our sleeves and go to work.
John, a lot of talk about clearing house. They choose not to do that. You want to build with Trent Baalke still, what he's been able to do here. Were you surprised by it?
Well, surprised when you ask somebody who's been around this league for 30 years, and Brian's probably laughing when I say this too, you're no longer that surprised with anything, because what you know is when an owner is deciding something, it's one person making a decision. Shad Khan is not one to share thoughts on this. There's not a whole lot of buzz in a building with Shad on these things. So was I surprised? Not shocked. I didn't know what was going to happen going in. It would not have surprised me if it had been total change. But Shad explained a lot of his reasoning. He sees Trent and the GM as a structural position overseeing football administration. He likes what they've done with that. So Brian, I don't know how to define surprise. I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't shocked. And I guess that kind of avoids the question, but it's the only answer I have.
You know, there were 4 possible outcomes here, Kai. Both stay, both go. Doug stays, Trent goes, Trent stays, Doug goes. And so was I surprised? Yeah, I didn't know that was the likely outcome in that. But I want to take it from a different angle. Here's what I'm surprised at, John. And the owner kind of laid this out, which, Shad talked about, what he saw in Trent. And I guess I'm surprised at the level of venom that Trent Baalke gets. I know people try to stick him with the Urban Meyer disaster, and they wanted it clean at that point, but he didn't hire Urban Meyer. That was the owner that did that. And then I look and I see, and by the way, I totally get 4-13 and you want everything clean. 5-18 and that's, don't explain it to me. I realize right now I'm spitting into the wind. But you talk about a franchise that was just moribund. It was awful. And he lifted it up with some of his moves, right? I mean, you look at the draft choices, and you've got 4 guys from the 2021 draft class here. You had 9 different guys from the 2023 class start more than 2 games this season for the Jaguars. He's done a pretty good job with the draft, and he moved backwards twice, giving you extra 3rd and 4th round picks this year, and still got Brian Thomas Jr. You want to talk about free agency? I get it. Arik Armstead, Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, waste of money that gave you nothing this year. But he also gave you Rayshon Jenkins, who gave you in 2022 the 2 plays that got you to the Super Bowl, the pick 6 against the Cowboys and the sack strip against the Titans that Josh Allen returned for the touchdown, right? And he gave you Evan Ingram, who gave you 114 catches last year, and Christian Kirk. And, and just one more thing. When I saw him in 2022 sign Christian Kirk and then draft Parker Washington and sign Foye Oluokun and draft Ventrell Miller and sign Brandon Sheriff and draft Cooper Hodges, I saw a guy who knew what he was doing. He was backfilling the free agents, because you don't want to build with free agents, with young players who are making plays for this football team. So in saying all of that, I just don't understand the level of vitriol that you see with Trent. That's the part that surprises me. And just one last thing on this. If they get Ben Johnson, and the owner clearly, John, believes that what he has to offer here with a quarterback, with a salary cap, with draft choices, with facilities, with warm weather, no stadium, he firmly believes he can get the guy that he wants. He said that yesterday, and I'm told by other people he believes that. If they go sign Ben Johnson, do you really care who the general manager is? I'm not sure people do. I think that solves that problem. So the thing that surprises me consistently is just how much people just don't like him.
Emotions are definitely running high. I think after a tough year, everyone's feeling a lot of things, and this is how it's coming out right now. We're going to continue to talk it out. A couple of hot takes coming out of that availability we had yesterday, so we'll talk some more after the break.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more, or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
Football is back. Celebrate with a gay Duval meal deal. Score 2 Roller Grill favorites and a 20-ounce Coca-Cola soft drink for just $4.50. That means you can choose any 2 to pair with your Coke. 2 hot dogs, 2 tornadoes, 2 roller bites, or mix and match. Whether you're stopping for a quick snack or tailgating with friends, this is a victory for every Jags fan. Deal happening now through January 2nd, 2025. Stop by to purchase in store.
Are you ready for a taste bud touchdown? Well, Jags fans, if you're at the bank and craving a snack that's shell-shockingly good, look no further than Luray Peanut Company's boiled peanuts. Picture this, you in the stands, cheering on your Jaguars, and in one hand, a bag of piping hot boiled peanuts. With original or Cajun to choose from, they're so delicious, you'll wonder where they've been all your life. So grab them while they're hot and get back to the game. And as always, Duval! Luray boiled peanuts, where every nut is a winner.
Presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your pet will receive exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes access. Visit jaguars.com/promotions/four-legged fan club to sign up today. Also, our hot takes today are brought to you by Firehouse Subs.
Right now, we are the most predictable team on both sides of the ball, okay? And football, to win, deception is a big part of it, unpredictability. If you know exactly what we're going to do on offense or defense, you better have the 22 best players, to help us win a football game. So being unpredictable is, I think, is modern football, and, we have to be able to show that on the field.
Welcome back into Jags A.M. On Monday, we do hot takes, and normally we give you one of our hot takes, but I think there was a couple of hot takes in that availability yesterday with Shad and Trent Baalke. So we're going to take our hot takes from there, and right off the top, Shad saying this team is too predictable. The Jaguars need to be unpredictable. Is that true, or do they just need some better players, or both?
Well, listen, the great example of this is the Packers for years and years. Bart Starr used to, we're going to run it right here, right? You couldn't stop them. They were so much better. So yes, you need better players, but John, I think what they need to do is do the predictable things better. You look at the Lions and all of the and I bring them up obviously because of the Ben Johnson interest. All of the things that they do, the hook and ladder in the middle of the game, the throws to the tackles who become eligible. Well, it's because they do the little things well, right? They can run the ball, they can execute on third down. For the Jaguars to become unpredictable means that they've got to play better at the things that everyone can tell they're going to do.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg thing, which came first. I think to get unpredictable, I think you need to get better. And I think that's what Brian's saying as well. It's very hard to have super creativity when you're facing 2nd and 12. It's really easy to be creative on 2nd and 3, which means if you run well or are efficient in your basics early in downs, you get more plays, you can be unpredictable. So I think what Shad saw and the fans saw is real. I don't think it was very unpredictable, but I do think you have to get better overall to get unpredictable.
Put yourself in a situation where you can be a little more creative, I think.
Yeah,
that would be
it's sort of the same thing on defense, right? Blitz more, and I don't know exactly what Shad meant in terms of predictability on defense. I'm not putting words in his mouth. But you would say, blitz more, do more exotic things. If you can't stop the run,
which they couldn't,
it doesn't matter how exotic you are, you're getting rolled.
Well, and you look at Josh Allen, Josh Hines Allen, who got the mega contract before the season. He had lots of pressures. I mean, he was always around the quarterback, but he didn't get as many as he did the year before because the Jaguars were always playing from behind and teams were running the ball because they could and because they wanted to run out the clock when you're up by a couple of scores. So, I mean, it goes back to complementary football, right? I mean, you've got to be a team that you can be dependable before you can be unpredictable.
Yes, I agree with that. Let's move to our second hot take from that availability, I should say. Trent Baalke says they're going to go into this head coaching process, interview process right away and get things going, but he also thinks this can be a quick turnaround.
I think when you look at where we were in 22, leading into the 22 season, and going from where we were in 21 to 22, I don't think there's any reason why we can't repeat that. You know, I think there's a lot of good young players on this team. There's a lot to look forward to, you know, and the fan base deserves that. They deserve a winner, and that's what you set out to do every day you wake up, come into the building, and, you know, we've got a great group of people in this building that have that mindset, you know, so I do think this thing can be flipped and flipped quick, and looking forward to getting to work on it.
John, obviously Shad Khan thinks there's a lot of good things, good pieces in the building, making the playoffs 2 years ago. Trent Baalke thinks this can be a quick flip. We've seen it elsewhere. Can that be done here?
Yeah, it can be a quick flip, meaning I firmly believe that you can go from 3-14, especially with the close games, to back to competitive. I think you can get back to competitive in an AFC South that's not great. What I've said multiple times on this show, what I hope that they don't do is let's quick flip to get to 9-8.
Yeah.
That is doable. Getting what we all want is get to Detroit, Buffalo, Eagles, Kansas City, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's that quick, but I think you can make that first step. What you hope is that getting to that first step, and I'm probably not saying this very well, get to that first step, but don't do it just to get there.
Right.
Make sure it's long-term. Make sure they are foundation things that you can move beyond that as well. Because I think in 22 they got there.
Right.
Couldn't quite get further.
Well, two things stand out. One, the quarterback has to emerge from 2 injury-plagued seasons. I mean, the last game he played this year was November the 3rd, right? I mean, the last game he started and played it. I take that back. He played in the Texans game, but briefly before he was injured. So, you didn't have him the last 2 months of the season effectively, and you didn't have him healthy the last month and a half of the season last year. So if he emerges, and who they hire will have something to do with this, and becomes the quarterback that we all think he can become, then that goes a long way towards solving a lot of your problems. And then the other is on the man who just talked, and that's Trent. He's got to go and draft another BTJ, right? And at number 5, you'd like to think that would be something that he could do. There's 7 or 8, we're told, guys with first-round grades. You're right there. Go draft another player who will come in as a rookie and make a big impact. Likely to be on the defensive side of the ball because that's where it's heavy up there. Go do it again. That's where it's on him. And to get back to 2022 in free agency, because they're going to spend some money in free agency, and don't swing at older guys who are, on the tail end of their career, like Arik Armstead, like Ronald Darby. You've got to be impactful, like 2022 with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and Foye Oluokun.
Yeah, I think Brian's first thing, as we get further away from the week-to-week, micro focus on the details,
it's all the quarterback.
Trevor's got to be more special and more elite than he has been. He showed it for about 3 or 4 games in the middle of 23 where he was getting there, and then the injuries came. It's been sort of off since. It's got to get back on.
Absolutely. Our third hot take today is going to come from the locker room when we talked to some of the players. They were cleaning things out yesterday. Arik Armstead talked a little bit about how he was playing at edge this year, but he wants to go back to his original position.
Yeah, I'm going to move back inside next year. That's going to be my plan. That was what I wanted to do, this season as well too. But there's situations that you have to deal with. in this league. And yeah, so I'm gonna switch back inside, which was what I wanted to do this season, and I'm gonna be back playing to, an elite player that I know I can be.
Armstead saying he wants to go back inside on the defensive line. He was playing edge a good chunk of this year, not really a starter, what he's used to doing. Saying he wants to go back and he's going to do that next year. So, hot take, Arik Armstead will be.
Well, he's laying it at the feet.
Starting defensive tackle in 2025.
Yeah, he's laying it at the feet of the defensive staff, I guess. This was a mistake on my part. This was one of the guys, John, that I thought, okay, listen. He's coming in, he's going to give you something inside because that's what he had always been in San Francisco. He's been a Pro Bowl caliber player. He has the height, he has the length, he has the leverage. And he gave you a sack on opening day. Thought, okay. And then he started playing outside. Listen.
Perhaps out of necessity, we didn't have a ton of edge.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot there
on this roster, so maybe they constructed it that way.
He didn't give you a whole lot when he did go inside to the middle either. This is a storyline to follow.
Yeah, I'm flummoxed, and I don't know what to say to this because I've been asked so many times what was going on with this. I guess maybe the best thing to do with the Arik Armstead story is he's going to be here next year. Evidently, he's playing tackle. I think the new coordinators will be thrilled to learn that when they get the job. So maybe it's just time to say, okay, Arik Armstead, whatever story was this year,
right?
Swash it.
Let's see what it is next year. Because he has talent, and it just seemed like one of those, every once in a while in free agency, you get one of those where you're like, what's going on here?
Right.
And this was that.
He lumbered off the edge.
So maybe this is the time next year, have it through the season, we'll be writing a success story.
I sure hope what happens to, because now all of a sudden you seem to have a glut of tackles, right? You've got Devon Hamilton, who's going to be here because he's got $20 million in dead money on the cap for you. You drafted Mason Smith, and he showed you something at the end of the year. And you have Jordan Jefferson. What I hope doesn't happen is you pass on Mason Graham if he's the best player at number 5 because you say, well, we got Arik Armstead to play in there. No, don't pass on a great young player at a position of need. I still think, because Devon is getting a little long in the tooth and Arik is, that you need defensive tackle. I hope Arik Armstead's presence in the middle doesn't prevent them from taking the best player available on the board if that happens to be the defensive tackle from Michigan.
Yeah, it's a legitimate concern. I would guess that it wouldn't because you can rotate there and because Trent does believe in
big guys,
that.
Yeah.
But your point is valid.
Stay with us. We are going to hear a little bit more from the players as they cleaned out their lockers yesterday and talk a little bit about Doug Pederson's firing.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Start the new year with a fresh look for your home. It's the Renewal by Andersen New Year's sales event. For a limited time, save 20% off on our energy-efficient windows and patio doors designed to keep your home comfortable year-round and your energy bills down. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation. But hurry, the special New Year's offer won't last. License number CGC 1527613.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information.
Football is back. Celebrate with a gay Duval meal deal. Score 2 roller grill favorites and a 20-ounce Coca-Cola soft drink for just $4.50. That means you can choose any 2 to pair with your Coke. 2 hot dogs, 2 tornadoes, 2 roller bites, or mix and match. Whether you're stopping for a quick snack or tailgating with friends, this is a victory for every Jags fan. Deal happening now through January 2nd, 2025. Stop by to purchase in store.
Move the freight. Magellan Transport voted the coolest office space in Jacksonville. You can apply online at magellanlogistics.com.
Obviously, it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, we all had a hand in this season and just how the way things have shaken out. I have a ton of respect for Doug. He's made me a better football player, a better man, and I think he's one of the better coaches to have coached in this league, and it's just unfortunate the way that things went, but obviously the organization has to make a decision that they feel is best going forward.
Wide receiver Christian Kirk in here yesterday, kind of giving his thoughts on the firing of head coach Doug Pederson, obviously an unfortunate situation, and talked a lot about how much he's helped him as a player, but I think one of the things, and good to hear from Christian and the players, is taking that accountability right off the top of we all didn't do what we needed to this year. And unfortunately, this is what happens. Some person has to take the fall, John, but I think there's an understanding that they all need to be better.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and as you go on, you learn more about different players and how the league sort of works. Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, who might be the most aware, league-savvy guys in that locker room, meaning, hey, we've seen this, both said, hey, I'm paraphrasing, fire Doug, fire whoever you want. We got to be better. And so they know that coaches get fired. They also know from being around that locker room that there were plays that didn't get made. Trayvon Walker mentioned it, that there was a lull when they were losing where he wasn't sure that everybody was
bought in,
was going, right? And Trayvon, it's a different level, but he's been around Georgia, success, national championships. He sort of knew it wasn't right. Now, part of that's the coach bringing that, right? But a little bit is the guys saying, hey, this is our team. It's a players' league. Mm-hmm. Those guys, no matter who's leading, have to do a better job of that next year collectively. I'm not talking about those three, but collectively it's got to be more of a 1-2.
Well, let's hear from Trayvon as well. We have him talking yesterday.
Definitely something that me personally I don't want to hear. Doug, I think he's a great coach. He's done some great things for this organization, and he's a great guy, great coach. Like I said, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but it's life. We all faced with obstacles in life, and we just got to keep going.
So obviously, Doug had a ton of respect in that locker room, and I don't think anyone's saying he's a bad football coach. It's unfortunate the way things worked out and the way things panned out here. And I wonder what they'll kind of go. We'll talk tomorrow more about what that coaching search is going to look like, but I wonder what kind of personality they'll look to bring in or what kind of coaching style.
Well, it was interesting. A lot of the veteran players were asked, what do you want? And none of them knew what to answer, in part out of respect for Doug, because the question itself says, hey, what do you want that you weren't getting here, right? But the other side of it was they had such respect for Doug. Doug played the game, had been in the league for 30 years, and I don't know that it was anything that they saw in Doug that they think they needed to have. I thought the respect was well-founded for him in that sense. It goes back to accountability, and these guys know that if this team is going to go anywhere, it's going to be on them. They're all going to have to do more. And John, that seems so easy to say. You got to do more on the field, but it isn't just doing more on the field. It's doing more off the field, away from the building.
Off-season.
Off-season. It's about taking ownership of your career and your impact in this locker room and projecting it and getting away from football a little bit, but not too far, so that you understand that your preparation and what you bring to the table when you leave this building every night during the season, or when you're around here in the off season, it's on you. You've got to be your best. Otherwise, you don't last in this league.
It's needing to win and having it be something that you can't live without. And I'm not sure that you have enough of that. Whoever the head coach is, my first move, Trevor, if I have a leadership council, whatever, Trayvon Walker and everybody else can shut the door because you need him. He progressed in this direction this year. In year 4 next year, outside of Trevor Lawrence, this needs to be Trayvon Walker's team because he's a guy that you look to in terms of approach, in terms of desire, that you can build around his persona.
Well, and listen, as a player on the field, right, we've been talking about how good he is in so many situations. But look, they don't make it to overtime if he doesn't get that sack in all likelihood, right? It's 3rd and 3 at the 50-yard line, and Joe Flacco's carving you up, and he comes around the corner and makes the sack that forced them to punt, and the Jags get to overtime and have a chance. He's that good of a player, and I'm not sure that people so widely recognize just how good he is. But he's good on the field, he's good off the field, in the community, in the locker room. He's a terrific football player. You're so right.
Well, BTJ is the best player on the team. Trayvon's close too.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about, we'll say both of them, Brian not quite there yet, but Trayvon makes people around him better too, which I think we don't give him a ton of credit for, but he covers up a lot of things, I think, sometimes. And obviously what he's been able to do to help Josh and if they ever get a rush from the middle, they'll have something really going there. But having players that can make other people better is something you absolutely need. Yeah. And obviously we need to see that more from Trevor as well, but to have some others that can do it is huge. So stay with us. We'll talk a little bit more about what's coming up this week, and we'll talk a little bit more about this coaching search.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The 2024 season is Pawsome. Register your pet for the Four-Legged Fan Club, presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your furry friend can access exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Fan club members will be automatically entered to win the Pet of the Game sweepstakes, with 2 Jags tickets and sideline passes for pet owners, and a chance for your pet to be featured on the video boards as Pet of the Game. Visit Jaguars.com/promotions/Four-Legged Fan Club to sign up.
Are you ready for a taste bud touchdown? Well, Jags fans, if you're at the bank and craving a snack that's shell-shockingly good, look no further than Lou-Ray Peanut Company's boiled peanuts. Picture this, you in the stands, cheering on your Jaguars, and in one hand, a bag of piping hot boiled peanuts. With original or Cajun to choose from, they're so delicious, you'll wonder where they've been all your life. So grab them while they're hot and get back to the game. And as always, Duval! Lou-Ray boiled peanuts, where every nut is a winner.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com to browse all the customizable options. Zipchair is furniture for fans.
I talk to the players regularly, okay? So, and I don't want to identify Trevor or anyone else by name, but, listen to, what's going to make them successful. But this isn't, let's be clear, a second coming of Aaron Rodgers 2.0, okay? So we're going to do the right thing for the team. And obviously, our goal is if Trevor doesn't get better, the other players don't get better, we're not going to win. So the coaches coming in know who our foundational players are, and they have to be committed to, making them better.
Owner Shad Khan was asked about whether he would be consulting Trevor Lawrence when he was making the selection for the new head coach, and he said he does talk to players, he consults with them, but it's not going to be an Aaron Rodgers situation in New York, which a nice little dig for no reason, but I appreciated it anyway. And so I think more the question would be is you need someone that comes in and believes they can work with Trevor and get him to that point that we need him to be at, right? Because at this point, you don't want to be wasting this section of his career where if he can stay healthy, he should be entering a prime time of his career, and they need to come in and be able to get him to that level. And whatever their plan or method might be will be a big part of this process, I imagine.
I'm sure that's the reason that everybody is so hot on Ben Johnson, because what he's been able to do with Jared Goff. And that's why I would be so interested in that as well. But if Ben Johnson doesn't end up here, that doesn't mean they won't find somebody that can come and do it as well. Remember, Dan Campbell hired Ben Johnson, and I would say most people don't know or didn't know who Ben Johnson was. That would be the question that I have for every single candidate. Tell me who's going to get my quarterback to that point. The offensive coordinator, quarterback coach is the most important person that my new head coach is going to bring in.
Yeah, if Shad gets a feeling from any candidate that he's not 100% all in his heart and soul on Trevor Lawrence, move on. Because that's got to work, and if and I think they'll get somebody who they really, really want. If it's a Ben Johnson, if it's another offensive, you can guarantee they wouldn't even be taking the interview if from afar they didn't believe this kid could do it. So stay tuned.
Do you think, just as a question, do you think that this job is the most attractive job out there right now? Because that's the narrative with people who believe that Trent Baalke is slowing it down, that he'll keep them from being there. The owner is obviously betting that he can make this the most attractive job. Where do you place it? Do you think it's top one or two?
I don't cover the other teams, so I don't know the details.
Yeah.
I do know, it's the old cliche, you're in Florida.
Right.
You have an owner who is not a quick trigger owner and who
opens the checkbook.
Everybody out there, Shad Khan this, Shad Khan that. Coaches measure owners by patience, by staying out of the way, and do they support? Well, nobody in the league is going to tell anybody that Shad Khan doesn't support in terms of money, in terms of, whether it's the best job in the league or not depends on how people feel about Trevor.
Good point.
So we'll be with you guys one more day this week. We'll talk a little bit about some of those coaching interviews that are going to be taking place and some possible candidates here, and also just a little bit of a preview about free agency and what the offseason is going to look like for the team.